Folks, pleasant Wednesday morning to you all. Prospect Breakdown Day here on the show. UNC quarterback Drake Maye, the focus of our show today. Had the opportunity to sit down and watch some Drake Maye this morning. I've got my notes here in front of me. We are going to definitively answer the question of who I have as QB1 as of this moment. Now that we have watched both Drake Maye and Caleb Williams, I am surprised at my answer. I am surprised at some of the takeaways that I have from this sit down with Drake Maye. I think, want to emphasize that after watching both of these quarterbacks, that they are two very different players. And I hope that that comes through in the evaluation process for you all as well, that while these are the two guys we're going to talk about at the top of the class, they're not the same player. They are very different in a lot of ways. And so hopefully we can talk about that today as well. Lots of news in the National Football League world that maybe we can touch on here at the beginning. Andrew Thomas getting a contract extension with the Giants. Justin Herbert's mega deal yesterday with the Chargers, just setting the table for Joe Burrow to be next in that regard. So lots of extensions, lots of activity going on here. The fantastic news, DeMar Hamlin back at Bills camp. John Mechie cleared to return to the Houston Texans. Just a lot of great news across the football world today. So, yes, we are going to continue on with our prospect breakdown and discuss Drake Maye here in just a little bit, but those are some of the other stories that we're keeping an eye on here on the show today. Just give me a couple of minutes here. Got everything set up here. Just got to turn the light on here, the ring light behind the setup, and we can get started with a conversation about Drake Maye. Give me 1 second. Jamie says, Chris, you sound a little low today. Feels like that's something I should address here in the pre-show. Feels like that's something I should take a look at. So allow me to just do this. Maybe that'll sound a little bit better. Let me make sure we're on the right microphone. That's always a great start. So we're there. Let's go in here. We can check the other sound settings here before we start. We can go to this microphone here. We should be good now, Jamie. We should be good. I've got this up to its max volume in the program, in the software. We should sound much better here today. How is everybody doing today on a Wednesday while I get everything kind of finalized here and set up and ready to go? Got my notes here. Hello, Tuttle. Yeah, better now. Fantastic. Things we love to hear. But all right, so let's do it. Let's do the thing. Let's talk about Drake Maye. Give you my thoughts. We'll do a breakdown here on the show. We'll transition to this screen. That is the screen we're going to need for today's show. We'll get everything ready for the Immaculate Grid there in the post show. So let's get this party on the road, Drake Maye conversation beginning now. And welcome in to the Wednesday edition of the TDN Daily podcast. Chris Schubert back with you here once again on the show. Hope you are all having a fantastic start to your Wednesday. We are continuing on with our prospect breakdown series here on the show. It was Caleb Williams on Monday. Today, it is UNC quarterback Drake Maye. We have a nice compare and contrast that we are able to do as we continue here in the summertime to go through these top quarterbacks. And we are at some point going to have a full list of our top 10 guys entering the 2023 college season for the 2024 draft cycle. Spent this morning watching Drake Maye, obviously with the evaluation of Caleb Williams in the back of my mind. There's some comparing and contrasting that we can do with both of these guys. I will say we watched 2 games again of Drake Maye. Watched the 2022 bowl game against Oregon in the Holiday Bowl, and then we watched a game in 2022 as well against Virginia in some ACC play. I don't look at the box score before I click on the game. I normally just look at the list of games that I have in front of me, and I pick games that are interesting and appeal to me. The Oregon game, I knew it was the bowl game, and again, a non-conference opponent. Interesting to me to look at it through that lens to see how Drake Maye can perform in that kind of environment. And then I watched a conference game against Virginia as well, and he played pretty well in that game from a statistical perspective. But we've got all of our notes written down here, and again, like I said, it's very difficult to not go into this evaluation after watching Caleb Williams on Monday and knowing that it is a 2-horse race, at least as of this moment, for QB1 in 2024, that you're not comparing and contrasting the two as you're watching them. And I will say this as a top-level view here, and we had this takeaway, at least I did on Monday, that we did not view Caleb Williams as a generational prospect. We didn't want to use that term. We think he's a very good prospect. We understand why he's getting all the praise that he's getting, but I didn't want to put that label on him. And that opened the door for potentially Drake Maye to pass him on my personal board here as QB1. But I will say these two quarterbacks, while they are the two guys that we're talking about at the top of this class, they are two very different players. They are two very different styles. With Caleb Williams, you get the off-platform, you get the unicorn, the different arm slots, the zip, the ability to just create stuff out of thin air, the mobility on another level. You just get different things with Caleb Williams than you are going to get with Drake Maye. I think that's the first place I want to start. They're two very different players in how they operate their offenses and their skill set. They're both very talented as well, but that's the big difference that I see between Caleb Williams and Drake Maye is there are things that Caleb Williams does that Drake Maye just not going to do. They're just very different players in the way that they operate their offense. But I will say this, and I don't want to bury the lead here, so I want to do this at the beginning, and then I'll get into the breakdown of Drake Maye specifically. I have Drake Maye as my QB1 right now. I have Drake Maye ahead of Caleb Williams. It's close. It's by a smidge. It would be a 1A, 1B conversation. But for right now, I have Drake Maye ahead of Caleb Williams. And I wasn't sure if that was going to be the case after watching Caleb and liking Caleb a lot more than I thought I was going to. And when I first started the breakdown of Drake Maye today, I was questioning whether or not I was going to come to that conclusion, but I did. So Drake Maye is my QB1 right now, and it's close. But I have Drake Maye 1 a little bit over Caleb Williams, and there's a lot of reasons why. I think when you look at Drake Maye, and I'm not ignoring you guys, I'm just looking down at my notes here, just to make sure that I get through everything that I want to talk about. I think he has the ability to hit those tight window throws when he's in the pocket. He's able to see things really well. He had a couple of those throws in the Oregon game that really stood out to me, where if he's in the pocket, he's able to just be on time. He's able to put it in the right spot. I love the touch that he has. This is the biggest difference that I see between him and Caleb Williams is in that short intermediate stuff. He's got a great ability to put touch on the ball, to put it in a spot where only his receiver is going to be able to get it. He's able to lead guys really well. Running backs on swing passes, he's able to put it in a spot where they can catch and run. If he's got crossers, he's able to put the ball right on his wide receiver so that they can catch it in stride and turn the ball upfield. The spot throws, if he knows a guy's going to turn and face him, the ball's right on the money. I think his ball placement is just excellent. When he's in the pocket, it's great. The one concern that I do have with Drake Maye, and I don't know, Bailey, you're throwing your thoughts in there, so maybe you noticed it. If Sam Teets is in here, he can probably share this thought as well. I felt at times, and I'm not a big guy when it comes to mechanics. I don't feel like I'm an expert in this regard. But for me, there are times in which he's in the pocket and things are on schedule. There's not a ton of stuff breaking down in front of him. And it feels like he just abandons his lower body mechanics and just relies on his arm to get it there. Now, he gets it there because his arm is good enough to do it. But there are times where it feels to me that he's abandoning his lower body and just flipping his hips and really driving the ball. And it feels like he relies on his arm a lot sometimes. Just one of those things where when we talk about these guys not being perfect prospects and we talk about things that we want to see them improve on, that's something for me that I'd like to see him improve on, because sometimes it feels like he just abandons his lower half and tries to get there with his arms. But we mentioned the tight window throws. We mentioned the lower body mechanics. I do think at times he shows great poise and is able to stand in the pocket, and then he puts it all together, and he is working his lower body, and he's able to put the ball right on the money. And it's really, really impressive that he's able to do that. He has the size that you're looking for at the quarterback position. He has the mobility that you're looking for at the quarterback position, and this is a point that I really want to emphasize. I think he's a better runner than Caleb Williams, and I think he's a better runner than Caleb Williams in this regard. I think everything is compact. I think everything is under control. I think everything is deliberate. He knows exactly what he wants to do, where he wants to go, when he chooses to take off. When he is scrambling out of the pocket and he has made the determination that he is going to tuck this ball and he's going to run, it just feels like everything is under control. He knows what he wants to do. It's deliberate. He's really good at with some ball fakes to be able to make a defender miss, and he's able to pick up extra yards. That, to me, is the difference in terms of scrambling. I think Caleb's more athletic, and I think Caleb can do more of those jukey plays that makes guys miss. But when you talk about a guy that's under control and knows what he wants to do, and I think is very deliberate in his actions when running the football, that's the way that I see Drake Maye when he was scrambling quite a bit this year. And again, the thing with Caleb is we think he keeps his head up too much and doesn't put his head down and run. And I think you could say the opposite about Drake, is when he makes the decision that this is not working and he's going to bail, his head goes down and he's not looking down the field potentially at times to hit some passes. So if both of those guys could walk back from the extremes, I think they would be much better runners than they already are. And again, they both have, I believe, above average ability in the running game, being able to be a scrambler. The design runs, I think, just look better from Drake. I think it's under control. He knows what he wants to do. And so that was a big takeaway for me as well. We mentioned him being having great touch and great ball placement. I think that's just a huge difference for me between him and Caleb, right? I think Caleb, everything's got zip on it. Everything's a fastball. Everything is 100 miles an hour. I think with Drake, you see his ability to lead his running back, to lead his receiver out in space, and just be able to throw, even to the boundary, he's able to put some touch on it to get it out of a defender's way. And he's not solely relying on the ability to throw a fastball every single time and just beat the defender to the spot with the ball because it's so fast. He's able to use touch, and he's able to take some stuff off, add some stuff to it. I would like to see him try to use some more zip at times. Feels like sometimes he relies a little bit too much on being able to put some touch on it. We'd like to see him zip it in there and use the arm that he does have. His accuracy can go away at times, I think, in the intermediate stuff when his lower body stuff kind of he abandons it. He can kind of just miss. He's a little bit long. Sometimes he throws it a little short. That's a big thing for me that I like to see him work on. His deep ball accuracy isn't fantastic. There are times where he'll miss a wide open receiver by a stride or two. He did that once in the Virginia game. That I just finished that game up. That's why that's at the top of my mind. But he had a receiver and he kind of missed him by a step and a half. And so the deep ball accuracy is something that I'd like to see him work on. But his intermediate stuff, middle of the field stuff, he's really good. He's really good at finding those windows in the middle of the field and just hitting them and hitting his receiver right in the sweet spot for his receiver to be able to make a catch and either just sit down in a spot and make a catch and pick up a bunch of yards, or he puts the ball in a spot where his receiver's able to make a play and continue to gain some yards. So it was really impressive in that regard. I'll share some thoughts here from the chat. Bailey says, Drake Maye on schedule is an assassin. He has a variety of arm angles and throws with different velocities to allow him to be accurate to every part of the field. Good in the short game at helping his guys get yak by leading them away from defenders. Throws with anticipation consistently and got better as the year went on. He has shown consistent mechanics, but he gets lazy with them often when winning in games or when he's on a roll. He will start getting too comfy and start relying on his arm talent. Yeah, you can see it at times there, that last point that you make there, Bailey. His arm talent is so good. He knows he can put the ball where he wants to put it, and sometimes he just abandons finishing and driving and using his hips and his lower half and his legs to drive through. He doesn't have the arm angles that Caleb Williams does. You're not going to see him use the various different arm slots and be able to sidearm it and sling it and have the zip on it to throw it, 35, 40 yards down the field. He doesn't have that type of variety in his arm angles. And I think his motion's a little weird at times. But again, I'm not a guy that breaks down mechanics and arm motions. That's not my expertise. It's just something that I was keeping an eye on while watching him. But he doesn't have that level of, variability in his arm angles and being able to throw the ball. But for me, I think the biggest difference is the controlled nature in which he runs the football, the touch and ball placement, and just those two things for me are what separates him from Caleb Williams and why I like him just a little bit more. I think, again, Caleb's going to give you all the off-platform stuff, all the stuff where he's able to run around and make plays. And again, I think he's a little bit more athletic than Drake. Not to say that Drake's not athletic. He is, and he's able to make guys miss. But that, to me, is the biggest difference between the two of them. And I like a guy that's able to say, you know what, I'll take a little bit off here, and I'm able to precisely put this ball where I want it with a little bit of touch, drop it in over the top of a defender, or lead a guy in stride by taking a little bit off of it and letting him make a play. So that's the difference for me. Bailey says, the biggest concern for me is when he feels pressure, took sacks at a high rate, and due to the poor UNC offensive line, he ends up seeing ghosts and getting skittish at times. Biggest area to clean up. Yeah, I agree 100%. There are times where it feels as if there are a couple of plays where he takes a sack and I can see what he's trying to do, and I can see that he sees a big play and he's trying to stay in there and make something happen that he probably should just abandon. And then what you'll see is when stuff like that happens, he then will get a little jumpy and a little skittish, and he kind of abandons stuff a little bit quicker for my liking. Again, let me make something very, very clear here. Both of these guys, Caleb Williams and Drake Maye, they're not perfect prospects. There are things that they would that I think they would even admit that they would want to work on. There are things that I would like them to work on, but we're evaluating these guys, looking at how they stack up for the 2024 campaign. And I know Sam just dropped in here, and so I'll share the thought again here after doing the evaluation. But for me, I have Drake Maye just a little bit ahead of Caleb Williams as QB1 at this moment. I thought Drake Maye's ball placement and accuracy were better than Caleb Williams. I agree 100%. I agree 100%. That is my biggest takeaway from looking at both of these guys. I think Drake is able to put his receivers in a better position to succeed because of his ability to put the ball in good spots. I think his accuracy is better. I don't think he's got a great deep ball at this stage of his career. And I think the touch is better too, Sam. I think that's my other takeaway that I shared here. I think, Caleb, in the 2 games that I watched, everything's a zip. Everything's 100 miles an hour. Everything's go, 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 go. And you can get away with that when you're that good and you're that talented. But I like seeing a quarterback that's able to drop the ball in and throw with some touch and throw with some anticipation. I like that quite a bit. And so that maybe it's a personal bias with what I'm looking for out of my quarterback. But I just love that skill set. Bailey says, May is QB1 for me too, Chris. It is close, but I have more faith in May translating. And I will say, going into the prospect, going into the project here, I thought that I would come away with Drake Maye as QB1. I didn't think that after Monday. When I got done watching Caleb Williams, I thought to myself, wow, I like Caleb Williams a heck of a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I thought that was going to hurt Drake Maye in his evaluation. But when I sat down and watched Drake Maye this morning, I was like, you know what? I'm still there. I still like Drake a lot more. Heldy says he took the stuff they allowed him to take. Oh, you talk about the Clemson game that you were watching. He did that in the Virginia game for sure. He'll just take the stuff that you give him in the middle of the field. Defender will sit down in his zone, and he'll just throw it in there, and he'll let his receiver make a play. Heldy says, that might be what keeps Williams over Maye to me. I know it lends itself to risk, but I like a guy with a rare, unreplicable trait. Fair enough. Fair enough. And you're not going to get that with Drake Maye. It's why I said that they're 2 very different quarterbacks. Drake Maye is your more traditional. Look, I don't like doing this. Let me just make it clear here, and I'll share this with the chat, and I'll see what you guys think. But me watching these guys, I sit here and we think when we watch Caleb Williams, everybody likes to throw out the Patrick Mahomes comparison, right? Because of the unpredictability, the ability to go around, and he's got the different arm angles, and he's able to do all those different things, right? I think for me, when I watch Drake Maye, and I'm not saying he's this player, right? He is not this player, but he reminds me a lot of Justin Herbert in college, right? Of the mobility is a strength. It's not going to wow you. It's not Patrick Mahomes. It's not Lamar Jackson. It's not Josh Allen, but it's above average mobility. It's good ball placement. It's accuracy. He's able to do the things that you'd like him to do. That's kind of how I see it. Again, I'm not saying that Drake Maye is Justin Herbert, and I don't think they're if we were looking at them, and I didn't grade Herbert out that year, so I don't know where I would have them. But that's the vision that I get when watching him, and maybe that's because I got the Mahomes thing in the back of my mind with Caleb Williams. But that's kind of the way that I see it. Heldy says, Williams wanting to push things down all the time makes me like him more on a personal preference perspective. I get that. Listen, I think that I don't sit here saying that Drake Maye is my QB1, saying that I think you're foolish for having Caleb Williams as your QB1. I think anybody who watches both of these players and comes to the conclusion that Caleb Williams is your QB1, I can totally understand it. I can totally resonate with it. I have them very close. And I would not be surprised if by the end of the season it's flipped. But I'm just telling you where I see it right now. I think on a throw-for-throw basis, May probably has a better grasp of keeping things clean and more refined, but I love the style Williams plays with. Yeah, I think that's a fair way to describe the way that they two play. And I love the refined nature of Drake Maye, and I think there's room for improvement. I think there's room to keep his head up when he's running the football and being able to try to make plays, and he does it. There's spurts where he'll be escaping the pocket, and he'll see something, and he's able to throw. He had a throw, I think it was in the Virginia game. He starts escaping to his left, and his receiver flashes right in front of him, and he's mechanics all over the place. He's sidearming it, just flicking it, and he throws a dart. It's perfect. And I'd like to see him do that a little bit more. I love the way he runs, and I love the way he conducts himself in the design runs where he's just under control. He knows what he wants to do with the football. He knows where he wants to go when running the ball, and he's able to make guys miss. But I'd like to see him keep his head up a little bit more and throw, because there's some times where some guys are open. So that's room for improvement. I'd love to see him throw the ball with some more zip, be able to use that arm talent a little bit more. And I'd love to see him get better in the deep ball game. I'm talking stuff 30, 40, 50 yards down the field. I'd like to see him with that deep stuff, being able to drop it more in the bucket. So those are the areas of concern that I have for Drake Maye, some places that I'd like him to refine his game. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun year watching both of these guys battle it out, because there is a very clear reason why we're talking about these two guys as the top 2 quarterbacks in this class. So I really enjoyed myself today watching Drake Maye. And again, I have him as my personal QB1 right now, ahead of Caleb Williams. It's by like that much. And I reserve the right to change my mind later. But again, I woke up this morning not thinking that I was going to be there because of how impressed I was with Caleb Williams. Both of these guys, I think, are head and shoulders above the crop of quarterbacks that we talked about in the 2023 class. I think both of these guys are difference makers. So I don't have actual grades for them. I'll do that a little bit later in the process when I grade them out. But here in the summertime, I have Drake Maye QB1, Caleb Williams QB2, and I will go on record that I don't think any of the other quarterbacks that we're going to watch are going to reach this tier. I think they're all going to slide in behind them. And so this is the battle that we will play out. Jamie says grade good. Yes, my grade for Drake Maye is good. He's a good quarterback prospect. I have the same grade for Caleb Williams as well. They're both very good. And I can't wait to see them continue to develop. And the spotlight's going to be on Caleb, I think, a little bit more than Drake, because I think nationally the perspective is Heisman winner, talked about as the number one pick, right? There's going to be a ton of media attention, USC, Lincoln Riley, all that stuff. So I think Drake Maye can kind of fall a little bit under the radar, but I don't think it's going to take long for everybody else to catch up, I think, on how good Drake Maye is. And again, if you have Drake Maye QB2, there's no complaints here. I totally understand it. Now, I want to close the show with this. This is the perks of being here in the live YouTube audience. This is the perks of being a part of the live YouTube show. Bailey, that's the question that I'm going to ask you guys in the chat. Who are we watching on Friday? Who is the next quarterback up for us to discuss here on the show? We've talked about the top two guys. Other names that we can discuss. We can watch Quinn Ewers. We can watch Michael Penix. We can watch Bo Nix. We can watch Jordan Travis. We can watch Cam Ward. Those are just some of the names that we can discuss next here on the show. So I'm going to open it up to the chat of who they would like to see us watch next. Heldy says Bo Nix or Michael Penix. Sam Teed says J.J. McCarthy. Bailey says J.J. McCarthy or Michael Penix. Do me an IU favor and do Penix. All right, we'll do Michael Penix Jr. next. How about that? That'll be our next quarterback up for us to discuss here on the show. McCarthy is your QB3. Okay. Listen, we're gonna do this 3 days a week for the next couple of weeks until we get through a decent amount of these quarterbacks. So we're gonna have a lot of these guys to discuss. So we will discuss Michael Penix, and then we'll get to J.J. McCarthy. Probably on Monday. We'll have him be our Monday study as we continue to roll through this prospect series. So, yep, there you have it. The big takeaways, Drake Maye QB1 for me. I don't see that changing between now and the start of the season. We'll see how it evolves throughout the course of the year. But, yeah, Drake Maye, my QB1. I very much enjoyed watching him today. Had a blast and enjoyed and had takeaways that I didn't think I was going to have for him. After watching Caleb Williams, I did not think we were going to get to the QB1 conversation, but we did. And so for me, QB1 right now, Drake Maye. So we got Michael Penix that we are going to watch on Friday. So we've got one more show here in between on Thursday. We got a lot of news to get into. Maybe we'll talk about Justin Herbert's contract, what that means for Joe Burrow and the quarterback market at large. Potentially, we'll see what else happens here over the next 24 hours. But I appreciate everybody making this show a part of their day. Please rate, review, subscribe, share the show. We are entering a new chapter here on this show. We've got prospect breakdowns. These things are not going to stop. We're going to continue these probably for the foreseeable future. We got training camp storylines. We've got draft stuff starting up here with mock drafts. We've got games starting to be played. We are about to enter the first full season. Remember, this show started in the middle of the year last year at the end of October. So this is our first full calendar year doing this show start to finish for the college and the pro season. So I'm looking forward to what this next chapter of this show brings. Excited for you to be a part of it. So this is a perfect time to rate, review, subscribe, share the show. Join us if you can on the YouTube side of things, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when you can join us over there. You can be a part of the live YouTube chat. We've got all of the videos on demand. If you can't catch us live, just go to the Draft Network on YouTube, click the live tab. All the VODs are there. Do me a favor, if you're watching the VODs or you're watching the live show, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe. We greatly do appreciate all of that stuff. That's going to do it for us here on this edition of the show. Hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday. Talk with you all tomorrow. Heldy says, I do think most casual NFL fans are only talking about Caleb, and that puts so much pressure on. Major networks aren't talking about moving on from Kyler for Maye. It's only Caleb mentioned. Yeah. You guys know my thoughts on that. If the Cardinals wanted to move on at the quarterback position, I would take Drake Maye right now over Caleb Williams. But we'll see. We'll let the process play out. We have Immaculate Grid stuff to do because it is a post show. So allow me to just get everything set up here. I need to get this over here. I need to do this. I've already seen the baseball one. I haven't done it. I'm just looking at the teams right now. So we're going to go to the football one. Gotta go over here. Gotta go to window capture. Got to make sure we have the immaculate grid ready to go. All right, here we go, folks. Immaculate grid for July 26, 2023. Cleveland Brown, 3,000-yard passing season. Las Vegas Raider, 3,000-yard passing season. Imagine thinking that I was going to get that wrong. Couldn't be me. Buffalo Bills, 3,000-yard passing season. Josh Allen is who we're going to put down here. Give me Josh Allen, please. Thank you very much. I will have to go into a meeting here soon, but I'll keep you pulled up to mute to assist. Minnesota Vikings, Buffalo Bills. Stephon Diggs is a fantastic answer. Very good, everybody. Buffalo Bills, Atlanta Falcons. Buffalo Bills, Atlanta Falcons. I don't have an immediate answer for that. Las Vegas Raiders, Atlanta Falcons. Watch this. Marcus Mariota. How about that? How about that as an answer? Why is Marcus Mariota's picture so much bigger than these other guys? I don't know. Raiders and Vikings. We need a Raider and a Viking. We need a Raider and a Viking. Raider and a Viking. Darren Waller. Where did Darren Waller play before he was with the Raiders? He wasn't with the Vikings, right? Would Zadarius Smith count yet? No. Randy? Gregory? No, if Zadarius Smith hasn't played a snap for a team yet. Randy for the Ravens. Oh, Randy Moss. Randy Moss is a fantastic guess here. Yes. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Randy Moss. Okay. So we've got 4 guesses left. We have a chance to go perfect today, folks. We have a chance to go perfect today. 3,000-yard passing season for the Cleveland Browns. 3,000-yard passing season for the Cleveland Browns. Did Baker ever get there? Baker had to throw for 3,000 yards as a starter, right? 3,000 yards is not a lot in today's NFL. Because if it's not Baker, like, what are we? Jake Delhomme, the one year he was there? I mean, it's just tough to hedge our guesses on Baker Mayfield, but it's 3,000 passing yards. I feel pretty strongly that Baker Mayfield did this. Okay, very good. Sheldon Richardson for the Browns and the Vikings. That's fantastic. This is a fantastic guess. Okay, 15%. Shout out to you. Lee Smith. You want to put Lee Smith here. I love this. That's fantastic, Bailey. We are about to go perfect. If we just get an Atlanta Falcon and a Cleveland Brown. We need a Atlanta Falcon and a Cleveland Brown. And Heldy says Alex Mack. We've done it, folks. We have done it. We have done it. Our rarity score, not that high. The average score was 6.4. We did perfection. What answers did we not get? Austin Hooper probably would have been a very popular guess. We got popular guesses of Randy Moss, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. So we went very popular for most of the answers. Case Keenum, probably could have gotten there after a while. So now the pressure's on me. The pressure is on me. This was an easy one today, but the pressure is now on me. Can I go 9 for 9 over here? So I need a Met and a Marlin. Starlin Marte would have played for both. Met and an All-Star. Edwin Diaz was a Met and an All-Star. Met and an Astro. We'll go Verlander. Justin Verlander. We need an A and an Astro. An A and an Astro. There are tons of players there. Starlin Marte would have been a fantastic guess here for the A and the Marlin. And now I've kind of messed with myself. We need an A that's an All-Star. A Royal that's an All-Star. Eric Hosmer had to have been an All-Star at some point in his career for the Kansas City Royals. So we're going to put Eric Hosmer there, 7%. Shout out to my 7%ers out there. Imagine to the 2% that only guessed Edwin Diaz as a All-Star for the New York Mets. We need a Marlin and a Royal. We need a Royal and an Astro. Oh, this is a good one here. How about this? How about Zach Greinke? How about Zach Greinke, please? Greinke? Zach Greinke is a Royal and an Astro. That is 63% on that one. We've got 4 left. We have a chance here. We have to guess an A and an Astro. Oh, this is a good one. How about this? How about Jesus Luzardo is a pitcher for both the A's and the Marlins. We need a A and an All-Star. So think of people who have been All-Star for the A's. I think of like Sonny Gray potentially as an All-Star. I think of like Matt Olson. Matt Olson had to have been an All-Star at some point. This is probably where it goes down for us, and that's okay. Matt Olson. Matt Olson, 5%. You got to get the rarity score here, folks. We've got 3 players underneath 10%. So we've got 2 left. We need an A and an Astro. Billy Butler. Billy Butler was a Royal and an A, so that doesn't really help us here. So we need an A and an Astro. Let's think of players who have played for both of these teams. Not a lot of interdivisional trades that get made between the Astros and the A's. So I got to think of like an infielder, why is there like a utility infielder standing out to me? Oh, Cameron Maben might be one. Cameron Maben is somebody that stands out to me, maybe. We need an Astro and an A, and then we need a Royal and a Marlin. A Royal and a Marlin. Royal and a Marlin. Soler Power. Jorge Soler was a Marlin and a Royal. We now need one to go perfect in both. How impressive would this be if we went perfect in both? We need an Astro and an A. An Astro and an A. Astro and an A. Astro and an A. Let's think. We've got Verlander, Garrett Cole. It's probably none of the pitchers. We're probably looking at a reliever. Or like a utility infielder. That's what we're looking at here. Catcher, maybe? I don't know. I don't know if there's a catcher that would supply for both. Seth Brown is a player. And maybe it's an outfielder. I've got it narrowed down to utility infielder, outfielder, or reliever. I know we've really kind of narrowed the gap here of my range. I have one second baseman. Second baseman. It's not Altuve. Profar. Did Elvis Andrus played for the Rangers. Elvis Andrus played for the A's. Did Elvis Andrus play for the Astros? This is tough because we got one guess left. You can't just 15-time All-Star. Now you've got me. You've got me in a blender. We need an Astro and an A. Astro and an A. Second baseman, 15-time All-Star. 15-time All-Star. Craig Biggio? Ricky Henderson? Ricky Henderson played for the Astros at some point? Astros has a jersey retired for a Chicago team. What is going on here? So this player was really good for their Chicago team, and then they went to these 2 teams as late in their career. This is tough. We're in the blender here. Ryan Presley. Ryan Presley is a reliever for the Astros. Did he ever pitch for the A's? I don't know. Dallas Braden is a pitcher for the A's. Did he pitch at any point for any other team? I don't think so. Jeff Samardzija. Jeff Samardzija was a pitcher for the A's. He then went to the Cubs and then went to the Giants. I don't think Jeff Samardzija at any point pitched for the A's, but who knows? Who knows if that's accurate? Colin McHugh pitched for the Astros. He was a Rocky at one point. Was he ever an A? Don't know. John Lester. John Lester pitched for the A's. He pitched for the Cubs. He pitched for the Red Sox. I don't think he ever pitched for the Astros. We're just going to continue to roll through this. Bailey, I can't. That's put me in the blender. I got nothing for you. It's going to have to be a modern player if we're going to pull this off today. Oh God, there's so much pressure because we got perfect on football and I'm one away. Like if we would have just gotten one wrong right off the bat here on baseball, I wouldn't feel as bad. But the fact that we're sitting here just needing one answer to get us to perfection on both, there's a lot of pressure that I settle with here. Okay, are there any Mets that we can do this with? Right, because I'll go with my team and see if there's anybody that we can link to the teams. Tony Kemp, Heldy. That's a fantastic guess. Tony Kemp is a fantastic answer. We're in. Heldy, fantastic suggestion. What did I say? Utility infielder. Our guy, Tony Kemp. Who is the most popular? I don't want Tony Kemp's baseball reference. I want to know the statistics. Josh Reddick was the outfielder that we could have considered. That's fantastic. Tony Kemp, great call. So there are 90 players that have played for both the A's and the Astros. Let's see. Let's see if there were anybody else that I was considering. Tyler Clippard, I would have never gotten. I'm trying to think if there's anybody that fit what I was trying to think about. Tony Kemp, Scott Kazmir, Jed Lowry. Jed Lowry is an infielder that I probably would have considered. Josh Reddick was the outfielder. Miguel Tejada. We could have hit him with the Miguel Tejada. Don Larson, excuse me. Nelly Fox. There he was right there. Nelly Fox was never going to get there. I was thinking like, oh, Chris Carter's a good one. That's a more modern player. That's another outfielder. I was kind of all over it. Aledmus Diaz was my utility infielder. Like, I'm just all over this. Perfect. We got perfection. Absolutely fantastic. Now we've got something to build towards for tomorrow's show. We've gone perfect in both. We got to keep the streaks alive for both of them. All right, guys. Great show today. Appreciate everybody being here for the Drake Maye conversation. I'm really enjoying these. It's making me very uncomfortable to scout and do this and to put myself out there like this, but it has been so much fun to wake up early in the morning and to watch these players and to write down my thoughts and, put myself out there and say, hey, this is who I like more. So these have been very, very enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to continuing to do them. We'll start with quarterbacks right now. We'll see if we'll add other positions down the road for players. I'm not gonna, again. I said this at the beginning. I'm not going to watch as many players as the rest of the scouting department. I just can't with the tenor of this show is going to cover so many different things. But I've been really enjoying this stuff. So I appreciate everybody being here. Appreciate everybody making this show a part of their day. We're back on Friday with the prospect breakdowns. We'll do Michael Penix then. But we do have a show tomorrow. Not sure what we're going to talk about yet. Maybe these contract extensions that are being handed out across the football world. Probably do that tomorrow as well. But I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday. Thank you to everybody who's here and enjoyed the show. And I will talk with you all guys tomorrow.